Direct online starter is a device that is connected onto motors, firstly to switch the motor on, but also to serve as a protective device that will turn the motor off if there's no supply, and that supply is returned, that the motor will stay off, and also in the event of overcurrent through the motor, then it will also disconnect the motor. So, direct online starter. Now, this circuit or this device is used to control three-phase or single-phase AC motors. It can be supplied by a 24 volt supply, or it can actually be supplied by an AC supply. It depends on what is available to you as the user. Primarily, we're going to look at the 240 volt supply direct online starter. So we will have our live connection over there. From there we will go into an overload device. We'll get to that. From there, typically it's good practice to connect an emergency stop. Let's call that our emergency stop. From there we've got our normal stop button. That goes to my start button, which in turn goes to my main contactor. This main contactor serves as my no volt coil, and that contact is controlled by the contactor NVC1. This part then will connect to my neutral point. Now, this is the control circuit. When it comes to the motor circuit, we're going to see that my overload on the motor, my overload is a device that connects in line, live 1, line 2, line 3. Those connect into my overload device. Now, the overload has got two contacts on it, and the normally closed contacts will be my overload. From the overload we will have our main insulator, or main insulator could be above there, but eventually we will have a contactor. Okay, now this contactor runs off this no volts coil as well. So these contacts that are inside this contactor is connected to my NVC. Okay, so when this is active, this closes so that my motor can be supplied with power. Now, if my overload device measures too much current, then it disconnects that point there, which in turn breaks the conduction of the flow. And how this works, if I push that start button, there's a connection path for my contactor to operate. When this contactor operates, it closes this contact, which in turn allows for a conduction path to serve through my latching contact to my no volts coil. This latching contact serves so that I do not have to keep the start button depressed all the time. If I remove it, I've already established the latching path. This motor will continue running until the overload picks up excessive current and disconnects the overload contact. The stop or the emergency stop button is pushed, or there is a fail on the main supply, in which case my no volts coil will de-energize. Sometimes what they do with this circuit is they connect a main insulator between that point there and that point there. In other words, they bring in live neutral through a main insulator, and then that point they might bring to there, and that point they might bring to there. Okay, that way you can disconnect the entire control circuit from the supply when you need to work on it.